Welcome back to Too Many Tabs. That's right, it's back because this is part 2, baby. Usually this is a podcast where in one part, a husband or wife duo do some research and then they lore dump it all over the other one.
Spread it on their face.
No.
Yep. They spread the lore on your face.
Okay, but this time you read a book and it's not a terribly long book compared to other books we've read, but it's very dense. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of threads that come together. And so with that, this is part 2 of Mrs. P's book club.
That's right.
About Red Rabbit by Alex Grecian. Let's go.
Too many frauds and too many scammers that we wish weren't real. Too many cons and too many spammers, and we're starting to feel like we've got too many tabs open. It's too many tabs. Remember to smile.
Are you smiling?
I'm smiling.
Do you need me to refresh? Because we did this yesterday, and it's the next day, and we're here. And I had a coffee. You bought me a coffee.
I bought you a coffee. We both had coffees. The baby is downstairs with the babysitter. Everything else is going good.
Knock on wood. Don't say that out loud without knocking on wood.
But we're here. We're powering through. But I do need a little bit of a refresher.
Okay.
Give me your fastest 2-minute refresher and go.
I'm not going to follow your timer. I'm going to do whatever I want. So, okay, the crew. Remember the crew?
Yeah.
It was Rose, Ned, Moses, Rabbit, and Old Tom.
Okay.
Okay. Now they are escaping Quiverfall, the town of Quiverfall, because it was full of cannibals that were missing arms and legs because they were eating each other, and they had just gotten out of there after they killed the innkeepers who were trying to murder them for meat.
Yep.
Right. And so they got out. And then
the huntsman showed up.
And the huntsman showed up because the huntsman's following them because the witch, Sadie, sent the huntsman after them to try to kill them and slow them down a bit so they don't come get her.
And you know what? I want to say something. I feel like Sadie is being presented as not evil. And the hunters, our crew, they're being presented as not that evil either.
No.
Like nobody in this seems to be evil.
Except for Rigby.
No, there's a demon Rigby who's a frog monster. But they're all being kind of weirdly pitted against each other because of a bounty, $1,000 bounty that was being put on Sadie, the witch's head. So yeah, I think that's under 2 minutes.
So we just got we left off yesterday,
and the huntsman was killing.
And the
everybody.
Huntsman just was killing everybody after he set the town's church on fire. And he just was like, fuck these people, I'm out. And so he kills a bunch of people, walks through the crowd because they're scared of him, and then it was end scene.
Okay, and right there is where we're going to end our intro, because typically this is where we put announcements, but you guys listened to the last episode if you're listening to part 2. If you're listening to part 2 without listening to part 1, you're not going to understand anything that's happening here. No, this is going to be
a wild ride if you just log into this one.
So thank you guys for all the Patreons, for everybody else. We are going to throw into our break, and then we're going to get this thing started so we can get it going. Here we are, Red Rabbit, part 2. We're back. Here we are. You ready to go?
I'm ready. I've been ready.
Okay, you born ready.
Okay, so the huntsman just left the town. Scene cut.
Okay.
We're back at the crew. They're well past this town. They kept going for a bit.
Yeah.
Okay,
they don't hear the screams of all the cannibals being killed.
Left. They were like, we're out of here. They do end up setting camp quite far away.
Yeah.
And as they're setting up camp, they ask Benny to go get wood for the fire. Cortez.
Yeah.
And while he's out there collecting wood, he sees a dog like out in the forest a bit, and as he's collecting sticks and stuff, and he's like, "Hello, puppy," because again, Benny's so chill. He's like, "Hey, little puppy, what are you doing?" And then the puppy steps out of the woods, and it turns out it's a huge like wolf dog.
Oh, by the way, real quick, Benny, I'm picturing him now as Marcello from SNL.
Absolutely, Domingo.
Yeah, he's Domingo from the most recent. Hello, it's me, Domingo. I am completely picturing like a short guy,
slick back hair though.
Slick back hair. Even though I think he's Cuban, but it doesn't matter. This is just who's be playing him in the movie.
Yeah, it's absolutely him. So he's like, "Hello, puppy," and then it turns out it's a huge wolf. And the wolf dog starts following him back to camp because he's carrying all these sticks and he does like I'm just gonna walk away.
I'm picturing. So again, picturing back, there is a scene from Tick, the TV show The Tick, that was a live action. And there was a character called Batman Well. And Batman Well is Batman. He's just like Latino Batman. And at one point he's tied up and on his chest is a scorpion. And he is literally like there and he's like trying to not move. And he goes, hello, scary lobster. Please go away, scary lobster. And so I'm picturing Manuel walking like that, be like, okay, puppy, I love you, puppy. And like he's like still just like, okay,
it's
remaining
very
calm.
Being chill.
Yeah.
And being like, this is just like everything's cool. And so the big dog's following him, and the dog is like, he can tell the dog's about to pounce on him, right? This giant wolf dog is like about to get him. He's about to just drop all the wood and run. And at this moment, Rabbit is suddenly by his side. He didn't see her. She came out of nowhere. And Rabbit is standing by his side facing the dog. And Benny thinks the dog is going to attack the little girl. Yeah. So he grabs his hatchet that he used for the wood. And he's like, I guess I'm dying. Like, he's just like, I'm going to fight this dog. So he goes to like protect the girl from the dog. But as he like grabs his hatchet, looks down and comes back up, the dog's gone. It's running away. As soon as it saw Rabbit, it ran to back into the forest. Yeah. Okay.
And real quick, when you keep saying Benny, he was also called Cortez.
Yeah, Benito Cortez.
Benito Cortez. Just to put it into account, just because there's multiple names.
Yeah, I just been calling him Benny.
No, I know you've been calling him Benny, but he was first introduced to us as the name Cortez.
Yeah.
That's all.
And then
and then we humanized him. Because at first he was being painted like terribly because of the sheriff's deputy who actually killed the wife.
But he framed him because
and all that different stuff.
He was sleeping with his wife. Yeah. So old Tom is sitting on a log next to the small little fire.
Okay.
Watching Benny come back into camp, and Tom's having this whole thing in his head of like, but he's saying it out loud because he's old Tom, and he's like, "Fucking, he got sumac. What the worst would." You can't use sumac because it pops. It's full of water.
Oh, and so like it cracks too much.
It'll crackle. So he's having this whole like outward conversation, being like, "Benny, why the fuck did you get sumac?"
Yeah. Because Benny's not a scavenger. Benny's a lover.
He's a lover.
He's a lover.
And so he's talking, and then he's telling the guy next to him, and then he realizes he doesn't know the guy next to him, and the guy looks at him and goes, "Oh, hi, my name's Joe Mullins."
Wait, old Tom can now see Joe Mullins?
Because?
I don't know.
Old Tom dies right then.
Oh, I forgot old Tom got shot.
No, he got slit in the throat.
Throat slit. Oh, no.
Yeah, so this is the moment that Joe Mullins lets old Tom know that he's dead.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But old Tom's the witch finder.
Yeah.
The Witchfinder General.
With the big turkey feather in
his
hat. So at the same time, Charlie, remember Charlie is the sheriff's deputy.
Okay.
With the itchy rash in his leg.
Yep.
That is out to get Benito Cortez because he needs to prove to his brother that he can catch this guy.
Yeah.
He currently has a toad in his pocket, though. Yes. Who's his new toady friend.
Yes, and the toad is the demon.
Yes.
And he was burying all the body parts of the rancheros at the murder house.
Yes.
Because he's partnering up with the Huntsman.
Exactly. He wants to partner up with the Huntsman.
God, there's so many things. Okay.
So Charlie is currently entering Quivira Falls. They have to go through the town, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So he's going through town, and we find out it took him 10 hours to bury the, quote, bodies. Okay. In the bunkhouse. So he's riding through this town, and there's people milling about. There's just people running through town, carrying buckets of water, carrying bodies, carrying just everything. It's just insanity, right? People are just running through the streets, and he's like, what? And they're all covered in ash and fire, or blood. And he's like, what is happening here? But also, he's not the kind of person, even though he's supposed to be a sheriff's deputy, he's not asking any questions.
No.
He's not trying to help. He's just riding through. And he sees a little girl standing on a ledge of this road, and it's the same little girl. And he looks at this little girl, and he kind of makes eye contact with her. And at that moment, the little girl lunges and jumps at him up on the horse and grabs him by the leg and pulls down his leg and is trying to pull him off his horse, and he kicks her off of him. He's like, what the fuck? Like, and he kicks the little girl. And as she falls back, he sees that she's holding a knife, and he kicks her in the face. He's like, he's like, whoa, like, he kicks her in the face and breaks her nose, I believe. And he gets himself all adjusted and checks on his little toad buddy in his pocket to make sure nothing happened to his little toad and all the commotion.
Yeah.
And then he just rides the fuck out of town. He's like, I don't know why that little girl just tried to jump on me, but I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. Okay. So, I got it. That's the most sensible thing Charlie's done. But also, like, he's kicking a child in the face, right? So he kicks a child in the face and rides off. And we as readers, or listeners in this case, are like, no, that's good. Yeah. But anyone else in any other time in the world would be like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude?
If you just listening to this episode as part 2 without part 1, you're like, why are we okay with kicking the little girl in the face?
Yeah.
It's the little girl that was like, leave the fat one, he's full of meat.
Yeah. Yeah, but also it shows that the Huntsman didn't kill everybody.
No.
He just killed a good number.
No, he killed enough people to walk through the crowd. He made a walkway of people. I believe I described it as him parting the Red Sea.
Yeah. I figured he was just going to kill everybody.
No, he just killed enough people to walk through. He just didn't care enough, you know?
Gotcha. That makes more. This is why you have to listen to part 2s.
Yeah. So the next part I want to read, I'm actually going to read from the book.
Okay.
We come to this next chapter because we're going to cut scene again. We always cut scenes.
Yeah.
And we're back to Andrew.
This thing jumps around a lot like one of those Quentin Tarantino movies.
Absolutely. This would be a good Quentin Tarantino movie, actually.
It would actually be a good Quentin. And honestly,
he'd have like a weird Uma Thurman foot situation. But
there always is. But I feel like just like that one movie, The Hateful Eight, like I can see Charlie kicking a child in the face and Quentin Tarantino would be like, how do I get to show how to kick a kid in the face? What if Charlie's not wearing shoes? What if Charlie's a woman?
Yeah.
And Charlie, shoeless, kicks a child in the face?
Absolutely. That's exactly what would happen.
That's 100% what Clinton Tarantino would do.
The next scene we're in, we're actually back to Andrew. Now remember, Andrew is the original guy who put the bounty on Sadie's head because he said in the very beginning that his daughter died because of Sadie.
Okay. Because
of the evil witch in the town.
Yeah.
So he's the original starter of all of this, is Andrew.
Gotcha.
Okay. And so this is the scene. Andrew's in his house. He's drinking alone.
Okay.
Because he's pissed off and he's drinking alone.
Seems normal.
As he does. Throughout the whole book, Andrew is pretty drunk consistently. He definitely has an alcohol problem.
Yeah. It's Kansas.
Yeah. Okay.
In like 1870. Like, what else is there to do? That Pac-Man hasn't been invented.
Okay.
Nobody can play Call of Duty. You know, there's no internet for him to go on and blame women for everything.
Yet.
Well, they just had like a government that blamed women for everything.
He's literally blaming a woman for
I know, but and he would be really popular on YouTube Shorts.
So we see Andrew, he's drinking in his house alone, and Sadie walks in. The witch walks into his house.
Okay.
And she hands him a glass of water, and she says, drink. And she says, the water has dust in it, but it'll help, right? Because the water's dirty there.
Yeah.
And she says, you have caused me some trouble, Andrew. He spits out the mouthful of dirty water at her. The spray fell short and splattered across the floor, and Sadie shrugged. Feel better? You killed my daughter, he said. Did I? Olivia was to be married soon. Did she know that? Or is that something you and your friend Tumbleweed cooked up between you two, like you cooked up the bounty on my head? And Andrew says, his name was Duff. And she goes, either way, it's a ridiculous name. Were you aware that he's putting together a posse? Because at this point, Duff is putting together a posse to come get her.
Yeah.
And Sadie sighed, why are you so angry with me, Andrew? What did I ever do except help you? And he said, I just told you. She said, when Mary got the pox, what did we talk about? He said, we didn't talk about my daughter dying in front of me. She died horrible, Sadie. And Sadie says, when Mary died, you came to my house and begged me to help you. If you got pox so that you wouldn't get pox from her, you wouldn't be able to work and you'd lose your farm. Do you remember telling me that? Yes, Andrew says. Do you remember what I did? She says. You gave me a powder and I put it in my coffee like you said. And did you get the pox? No. But Olivia, did you ask me to protect Olivia from the pox? No. Did you share your powder with her? No. She said, you could have. You had the option and you had chances, Andrew. So how am I responsible for your daughter's death? You didn't save her. And then he says, are you going to kill me? She said, I saved you once. It would be a waste to kill you now. The worst thing I can do is leave you to wallow in your misery. She reached out and took a bottle down from the mantel. Here, I even brought you a parting gift. She stepped back and set the bottle on the floor within his reach. He grabbed for her ankle and she just moved backwards. Oh, Andrew, you don't make it easy to forgive you, dear. She walks out the door. After she leaves, he unstops the bottle, sniffs the brown liquid inside, and tips back to drink the mouthful.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay. So, yeah. So he is... he's a Trump voter. That's what it came down to. Mm-hmm. She gives him a cure.
Yep.
For pox, probably smallpox or something along those lines. And he doesn't give it to his daughter. Mm-hmm. And because she saved him, but she didn't go out of her way to explain to him to also give it to other people he cared about, he is now blaming her.
Yes.
This is, this reminds me of very much when they were rolling out Obamacare, right? Yeah. And there were all these old people carrying signs saying, keep your government hands off my Medicare.
Oh, it's an incredible sign.
It's one of my favorite signs ever because they were literally like, we want everybody to have health care. And the old people who had health care from the government were like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
How dare the government get it? You're going to fuck up my Medicare. It's like
that's the government issued health insurance.
Yeah. So this guy is just like a boomer written in 1870.
Exactly.
It's incredible.
He started this whole thing.
Yeah.
So that night, the group, in the book, I didn't really get into it because it's not that important to the story.
Yeah.
But Duff, his friend, is trying to collect people, different rancheros and friends from town to go to Sadie's house and attack her, right?
Yeah.
After this happens to Andrew, this conversation, Duff decides this is the night to attack. So he gets the people and they ride over to Sadie's house to attack her. They show up with like pitchforks and guns on the horses and a whole thing.
Yeah. And she's a witch.
When they're outside of her house, they're like, Sadie Grace, come out. And she literally snaps her fingers and the horse that Duff is on throws him off and tramples him to death. And the other guys get so scared they ride away.
That's awesome. Okay. That's so fucking awesome. Okay. All right. Okay.
So we're back to the Huntsman who's in the woods.
Yeah.
And he's still watching the crew, but he's really confused right now.
Is he the wolf?
Yes.
Okay.
The Huntsman is super confused because that girl that he saw, that little girl, she has no real scent. And the Huntsman works from scent. He's following them by scent. He does everything by smell.
Yeah.
And this girl doesn't smell like anything, really. Yeah. And so he doesn't know how to process her.
She's a sister of silence. In Warhammer 40K. That's a big thing. No, there's people who are like in the warp and like in psychic world and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. There's people who like don't have a presence.
Yeah.
Like they're just like a shadow in like the psychic realm.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like she is. She's a shadow when it comes to all these other senses.
Yeah.
So whether it be scent or magic or any of these other things, like people can't like perceive her in the right way, which fucks some like things up, which is why that's the mystery.
That's the mystery.
Yeah.
So the next morning, he just walks right up to the camp and sits down at their fire circle.
Okay.
He just sits down. Ned and Moses kind of threaten him and are like with guns and they're like, you better get out of here. And
he's a person?
Yeah, he's a person. He goes as a person.
Yeah.
And he's just like, shut up. Can I have a cup of coffee? Like he does not things. And so he drinks coffee with them. And as he's sitting there talking to them, he's a big dude and scary.
Yeah.
And he's got bright yellow eyes. And Rabbit sees him and just walks to the side and like lays down and goes to sleep, right?
Yeah.
And which everybody's like, that's weird. Like she just goes to sleep in a weird location.
Rabbit is a cat.
Yeah, Rabbit is a cat.
That's the thing. Like Rabbit gives she vanished when at the wrong time. Mm-hmm. There's just all these different things about Rabbit is giving cat vibes.
Yeah.
Real quick though. I know that you're probably skipping over some stuff for time.
Yeah.
Did they at least acknowledge that Old Tom is dead?
Oh, yeah. So basically what happens is Old Tom's having a conversation with Joe, and Joe's like, hey, you're dead.
Yeah,
That's why you're dead. And Old Tom is watching the crew, and as you're reading it, the crew is kind of silently behind the scene, all reacting to him being dead and being like, oh my God, what's going on? And Benny's crying. And so we just see Old Tom and Joe talking, but behind us we see them having a human reaction to his death.
Gotcha.
And then being like, oh, we gotta do
that would actually be a really, really funny scene to see in a TV show.
Yeah.
That would be, because it reminds me a lot of Community.
Yeah.
there's a episode where Abed is not in the foreground, like he's not in the main story, but he's in the background the entire time, and you see him in this couple where like there's a girl who's pregnant, and it's like her boyfriend, and like they're getting into a fight. And like Abed is in the background, like with this couple the entire, like she gives birth, they like have a kid like in a car. Episode. It happens like briefly in the background, but it's like this crazy scenes are happening behind, but you don't notice them. So I feel like that would be a really cool. Yeah. That'd be a really cool scene.
Yeah.
I want this as a series.
This would be such a good TV series.
It would be a good like a 6 you're right, 6 episodes.
Yeah, you need 5 or 6 episodes.
Okay, it can't be on Netflix. It can't be on HBO Max. I don't trust HBO Max to actually release it. I feel like Hulu is the leading contender. For the streamers. What
about Apple?
No.
Amazon?
Here's the thing about Apple. Apple makes really good shows, but I never want to actually watch them.
What about Ted Lasso? You watched
No, Ted Lasso was fine. That was fine. But I'm saying like most of them, like I'll start. I'm like, this is such a good premise. Oh my God. And like 3 episodes in, I'm like, what else is going on? It's like it's too good. There needs to be like there isn't enough like saccharine. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have that like processed flavor I need.
So when you're cooking, there's many chefs believe that there's like a certain things you need to have a good flavor profile. Yeah. So it's like oil, vinegar, salt, sugar are the basis of most really good flavor profiles. Yeah. And so it's all sweet. And there's no vinegar. There's no salt. There's no pepper. There's nothing to balance it.
My thing is with Apple is it's not that Apple programs aren't too sweet. My thing is like they almost are too heavy a lot of times, where like a lot of the ones that I've watched I'd be interested in, like when I watch Foundation, I like season 1 of Foundation and a few other things. Whenever I watch it, I never want to go back. It's almost like it was too hardy.
Got it.
And that's kind of thing. So I think Amazon, Hulu, or maybe even Paramount Plus. Yeah. But then no one will see it.
Yeah, no one will see it on Paramount
Unless
Plus.
It's Star Trek, nobody watches anything on Paramount Plus.
That's RuPaul's Drag Race.
You watch RuPaul's Drag Race, but like they have like the Showtime shows on there that we never watch.
Or hear me out, because it's technically a horror book. Yeah, we could put it on Shudder. Yeah, we could put it on Shudder. Okay, because then they go ooky spooky on us.
Yeah, technically, no, but I feel like this would fit because Paramount Plus they have that show Evil. You like that show Evil?
I do like that.
So maybe it could fit in there a little bit. All right. But I feel like it needs to have...
Who's listening right now that can make this happen for us?
I don't know. I doubt very much that there are network executives just off to the edge listening to this show. Because if there were, they would have reached out to us at pearlmania500.net, joined the Patreon, and then messaged us.
Under the Fed tier, please.
Under the Fed tier. $30 Fed tier. So... Okay, back to the story.
Charlie. Remember Charlie?
No.
Okay, Charlie is one with the toad in his pocket right now.
The deputy.
Just
say Deputy Charlie.
Deputy Charlie.
Thank you.
Who's following them?
Okay.
He's currently kind of like up on a hill, like sort of like a cliff, and he's overlooking the camp. Because he's like spying on them.
He can see them see them by the fire.
Exactly, and he's looking over to see what's going on, and he sees the Huntsman sitting there talking to Benito Cortez, and he immediately gets pissed. He's like, he's not trying to get this guy. He's not trying to hunt this guy, like he said. He's friends with this guy. Yeah. And so he gets so pissed, and he shoots at them. Oh. So he shoots at, like, tries to kill Benito from there. Okay. And he wildly misses. He misses everybody, honestly. And so the Huntsman turns around and shoots him with an arrow right through the throat, basically. Oh. Just, like, up on the hill, just like, tink, tink. Like, the husband doesn't care who he is. Yeah. He just is like, nope, bye. Yeah. So he doesn't even think about it. Okay, so we're going to cut scene, and we're back to the main town where Sadie lives. Okay? 3 men ride into town. These 3 dudes are the new witch hunters, also come to collect the bounty. They are bad guys. Their vibes are terrible. They're the worst. They're worse than the last guy. They're honestly worse than when Rigby was... alive as like the 2 fake U.S. Marshals. Worse vibes. They're threatening to rape and murder everybody in their path, basically. They end up killing a shopkeeper and his wife for basically no reason. And they go to get Sadie, and she ends up killing them in an incredibly gruesome way using nature. And it's a very satisfying death. Okay, nice. Okay? So back to the crew. Okay. That's all happening at a certain point, but back to the crew.
I do like that also is like the whole time they're going there is you keep getting over and over and over. She's just 1v20 over and over and over again. It's a good balance. I like the way that the story is laid out in that way.
So the crew's headed to the town called Buckridge. This is like the town right before where they need to go, like the last town, I believe.
Okay.
So they get to Buckridge.
This is the penultimate town.
Exactly, penultimate town. And so much fucking happens in this chapter that I don't actually want to like try to explain all of it. Basically, the sheriff of Buckridge is not a busy man. Him and his deputy are sitting on the porch watching shit go by, and Charles rides by first. So he actually gets in front of the crew.
Deputy Charlie.
But
he got shot in the neck with an arrow.
And then what happened?
I don't know.
The toad crawled into his throat.
Okay.
Into his dead carcass.
Oh, and he's
turned into Rigby. He's Rigby now.
Oh, but wait, did he turn like he looks like Rigby now?
No.
Oh, he's okay. So he's wearing a Deputy Charlie suit, like an Edgar suit.
Exactly.
Like in Men in Black.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think I have that written somewhere in here.
Yeah, I'm sure
I
you
wrote
do.
Men in Black somewhere.
Because you say it a lot. Like every now and then you're like an Edgar suit. There's times where you've just blurted that out of nowhere.
It's such a specific look that is burned into my brain.
But also you hate cockroaches.
Yeah.
So the idea of a giant cockroach infesting your skin and wearing it like an Edgar suit?
I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so...
But a giant toad doing it, that's fine.
That's fine. Whatever,
Okay.
a toad. Who hasn't seen a toad? So Charles Rigby is riding into town. He's cut the crew off, so he's getting into town.
Can we call him
first.
Deputy Demon?
Deputy Demon.
Thank you.
And he sees the sheriff and the actual deputy of Buckridge sitting on the porch.
Okay.
And he tells them, he says, "Hey, just so you know, there's this crew of bandits out here. I've seen and heard them. They're driving a stolen Wells Fargo carriage. And they're probably coming up behind me. I'm trying to get away from them, blah, blah, blah." And so he just seeds this lie to the sheriff and deputy that are sitting
It's
there.
a good
right?
lie. It's a good lie. It's a powerful lie.
So then there's a big ranch that is in Sadie's town. It's like on the edge of Buckridge and Sadie's town, right? There's a huge ranch. It's like the richest guy in the area. He's got like 50 rancheros. Everybody in town works for him, basically, in both towns. And Deputy Demon rides up. He's like, "I'm going to that ranch." And he basically uses his demon magic to murder the boss in a gruesome way, like rips his head off. It's a whole thing. He puts the ranch hands under his spell. He murders and tortures a bunch of them, sets them on fire. It's like an entire chapter of him just torturing everybody that works at this ranch.
Yeah.
And one of the things he does is he takes a bunch of ranch hands and he says, "You have to do my bidding or I'm going to blow you up the way I blew this person up." So they're like, "We have to do what he says or he's going to kill us." And what he says is, "I want you to go back to Buckridge and go kill that crew of people." Okay. So he sends a bunch of rancheros back. And then he goes in search of Sadie, right?
Oh, so he's going after Sadie.
Yeah,
now.
he's been going after Sadie the whole time. That's why he's been going that direction.
Okay.
He heard about the bounty in all of the conversations that he's been a toad.
Okay.
So he heard about the bounty and he feels the magic. And also he's like, so he's just like, he was originally hunting Benito because he likes hunting humans.
Yeah.
But then within the course of this, he's like, "Oh, there's a witch."
Yeah.
He doesn't even want the bounty. He's just like, "I want to kill a witch and eat her bones so I can absorb her magic." You know what I mean?
Okay.
So while the crew enters town, they immediately get held up by the sheriff. The sheriff's like, "Suspicious red Wells Fargo carriage you have there."
This would also be a very good video game. I just want to throw it out there because it keeps setting up good fight scenes.
Yeah.
Like Red Dead Redemption.
Mm-hmm.
It has a very good feeling right now of
Yeah.
I'm picturing in Red Dead Redemption there's a few scenes at these big areas where you have these big massive shootouts.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where we're heading.
Absolutely.
And I feel like it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're like, "Listen, we're not criminals." They're like, it's such a long story. She's a school teacher. He's an ex-war doctor. Old Tom's dead. Our friend Ned's been shot.
Yeah.
Can we get a doctor? And so they all agree to go into the sheriff's department, place. Just can you get a doctor though for Ned? Because remember, Ned got shot when they were attacking those butcher people.
I did not remember that.
Well, he did.
Yeah.
He got shot. So they're just like, can we get a doctor? And the sheriff agrees to go call for a doctor that's like very close.
Okay.
So Rose, in this time of all the stuff that's happening, Rose actually sees Joe for the first time.
Rose is the lady from Philly.
Rose is the lady from Philly.
There's so many characters.
I know.
You haven't mentioned her in so long that we're 30 minutes in and you're just mentioning her now and I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah, Rose.
Okay, Rose from Philly.
Her husband's Joe.
Yes, I remember that. I remember Joe the ghost.
He's been following her.
Okay.
Because he hears buzzing in his head that's drawing him to her to make sure she's okay.
Yes.
And
head full of bees.
And so as a lot of stuff's happening at the sheriff's office, she sees him. And she's like, Joe? Because remember, Ned can see Joe.
Yeah.
Ned can see dead people.
Ned's got the sight.
Ned is the little kid from A Sixth Sense. Spoiler alert about that movie.
You could have said Shining. I feel like Shining is a better one.
You think Shining is a better I See Dead People?
Yes, 100%. Because that kid has the Shining, but he doesn't quite understand it.
Okay.
The Sixth Sense is like, oh, why? Because it's set in Philly?
No, because it has Toni Collette, the best actress of all time.
Okay. I just feel like to me
and Bruce Willis.
Okay, fine. But I feel like to me in Ookie Spooky world,
okay,
like we're doing Ookie Spooky, The Shining's a better fit.
Okay.
That's just to me.
Okay,
That's just my
right.
that's
you're
my
allowed to have an
opinion.
opinion.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm just saying that none of the actors had long-term consequences of mental health issues.
I'm just saying that Stanley Kubrick's wife didn't bother me while I worked at Borders Books to find only books that are in green of a different certain hue, like M. Night Shyamalan's wife did.
M. Night Shyamalan is the worst.
M. Night Shyamalan's
His
wife
birthday
is the
party,
fucking
I worked
worst.
that and I was like, oh
yeah,
God.
no, they're like
But I worked for I waited on Toni Collette like 5 times and she was the nicest person in the world.
Yeah, and Bruce Willis is super nice too.
He's so nice.
It's fine. It's fine. It's good, okay? Listen, I'm just saying, in my head, I picture his powers Shining style because he does not understand them whatsoever. Yeah. He doesn't seem like he does like a little bit, but like he's not.
Yeah.
And they don't imply that he's been doing this since he was a kid.
No, it's a new thing for sure.
It's a new thing. It just seemingly happened to Ned.
So Rose sees Joe.
Okay, she sees Joe. And he can't talk.
Yeah. And the ranch hands show up. Right? The ranch hands come into town.
Yep.
And there is a crazy battle. People are up on roofs. They're hiding in trees. They're shooting at each other. It's like a full Western shootout.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I can't describe it all other than it was a Looney Tunes crazy Western gunfight.
Yeah. You know what I'm picturing?
What?
Star Trek Next Generation. Mm-hmm. There's an episode where Lieutenant Commander Data accidentally takes over the entire holodeck while Worf, Deanna, and his son Alexander are in the holodeck doing a Western shootout. So that's like the Western shootout I'm picturing.
So while all this is happening, the sheriff gets killed. He gets shot in the neck. And Benny also gets killed.
Benny Cortez dies?
Yeah, Benito Cortez dies.
Well, I guess I don't really need him anymore because Charlie doesn't really need to have that sort of push anymore because he's now a deputy demon.
Yeah, he's a deputy demon now.
Okay.
Rose is running. There's like a cornfield, and she's running away trying to catch Rabbit because Rabbit made a run for it. Mm-hmm. And Rose is like, I gotta go follow Rabbit. These guys they got guns. They can take care of themselves. They're grown men.
Yeah.
So Rose is always with Rabbit, and so she's running, but she's like I said in the last episode, she's having a lot of stomach pain.
Yeah.
And it's just like constant, and she actually falls over in pain and passes out because the running just like exerted her so much that she just passes out in this cornfield.
Okay.
And Rabbit keeps running, so she loses her.
Run, Rabbit, run.
Ned dies from another gunshot wound.
What is this, Game of Thrones?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ned, was his name Ned?
Yeah.
Ned Stark.
Yeah, Ned Stark. So, no, I'm saying, like, we're just dropping characters left and right.
It was an crazy battle.
So the only people left alive are Rose, Rabbit, and Moses?
Yes.
Okay.
From our original crew.
Old Tom been dead.
But he is part of the crew.
He as a ghost.
Yeah.
And Joe as a ghost.
Old Tom is not with the crew, though. He is still back at that where he was buried.
As a ghost?
I guess so. But
you say he's part of the crew still.
No. I meant Joe is still part of the crew. The husband.
Yeah. Okay.
So, scene cut.
Okay.
We're now at a new view we've never had before.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Just real quick. First thing, before we jump into this next scene, we're gonna take a break.
Oh, sure.
But second thing, if I was to die, I am not joining your crew as a ghost.
You would hate my crew as a ghost.
No, listen, when I
we
die...
would accidentally keep calling you and bugging you.
No, I don't want to, because I know y'all, you'd be pulling out Ouija boards.
I would like, how you doing?
Yeah, you'd be like, hey, do you remember the password to? I'd be like, Mrr. Like you'd be asking me where the passwords are for stuff.
The Ouija board is an incredible way to get a password.
It's incredible. But I just want you to know that.
Okay, great.
I want you to know that right now.
I am not going to honor your wishes.
No, I know.
I'm going to do whatever I want.
No, that's fine. And it's going to be you.
Just outlive me.
I don't know if I want to. Because then like
I'll haunt you. You know that much.
I know you'll haunt me so much.
Oh, I'll just like you'll be just falling asleep.
But
at
it's
that
not
moment
like,
where you just fall asleep, and I'll poke you in the nose.
But it's also not only that is like I've seeded so much of my competency into your being. You know what I mean? Yes. So it's like there's days when you're not around where I'm just like, oh, I forgot to eat. And you're like, how did you forget to eat? I'm like, I don't know, I just forgot to eat. You're like, how do you forget to eat? So
I have never once forgotten to eat.
Okay, we're gonna take a break.
Okay,
and when we come back, we will keep going with the story.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That was a bit much.
All right.
So listen, we're back.
Okay, we're back. There's a scene jump.
We've had a scene jump,
okay,
and we're having a new perspective.
I just want to go over everybody who's dead.
Okay.
Okay, Ned's dead.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
I just want to say Ned's dead.
He was a wife guy. So listen. What?
Oh, you're talking about from Try Guys. Ned from Try Guys. I was thinking Zed's dead.
No.
Remember from Pulp Fiction?
So our new perspective that we've never had before.
Never had this perspective before.
Rabbit.
Oh, we're going to hear from Rabbit for the first time.
We're listening to Rabbit's thought process right now.
Rabbit has thoughts.
We're seeing the world through Rabbit's eyes right now.
Okay.
So we're doing a little, she's having kind of like, she's sitting and having a thought about her past. And we find out she was raised by an older couple that took her in. When they died, she burned the house down and went on the road and just started walking. While on the road traveling towards something, she just felt like she was going towards something. She doesn't know what she's going towards.
Yeah.
She climbed up a large black walnut tree and she fell asleep. When she woke up, there was a man at the foot of the tree calling to her. And she looks at this guy standing at the bottom of the tree, and she's high up in this big tree.
Yeah.
Because again, cat energy. So the guy says, "No need to be afraid. My name's Rigby."
Oh.
She didn't speak, move, or blink. He said, "I'll wait you out, darling." And he sat at the bottom of the tree. She went to sleep. It was like 12 hours up in the tree. Yeah. He was waiting there. And she goes to sleep, wakes up the next morning, and he's gone. She waits 48 hours before she climbs down because she just doesn't trust whoever that person is.
No. Because he's literally a demon.
After that one encounter, she decides that it's too dangerous to travel alone. Right?
Okay.
She's like, I can't. So as she's walking out on the road, she meets old Tom, who tried to eat her because she was in rabbit form. And so
what?
She changes, just like the Huntsman.
Okay, well, you got to tell me that.
I am. Okay. This is me telling you.
All right.
We find out that old Tom tried to eat her because she was in a different form as a rabbit. And so she had to change in front of him. And this startled him in a way, and that's why he called her Rabbit. But he doesn't remember that. He's muddied due to her, let's just say magic. Like the way that her energy is, it muddied him of the way. He doesn't remember exactly why he calls her Rabbit.
Yeah.
We also find out that when she made this quick shift so he wouldn't eat her, because she got caught in a rabbit trap.
Okay.
She presented as a boy. And so she changes, but she changes into a boy form. And she doesn't know why she did, but she felt in her gut that it would be safer to be a boy.
Okay.
And so she did. And then when she was brought to the saloon that time, she took her real form, which is that of a girl.
Okay.
Or whatever form. So she made sure.
Her default form,
yeah. She made sure that Tom learned about the bounty. She had heard about it, and she made sure he found about it in their travels.
Because she wants to go that direction.
So he would head north with her, where she wanted to go.
Okay.
She created a hex that tied Joe Mullen to her. She needed him on the road with her as protection on that side.
On that side?
He's on the other side.
Oh, so she needs protection from the dead?
Yeah, she's like, listen, I don't understand that Rigby character, but traveling is dangerous, and I want to have a protection wherever I can.
Yeah, no, I get having old Tom for that. But okay, I gotcha.
So so basically what we learn is that she's the one that made the straw voodoo doll.
Okay.
Old Tom doesn't remember what happened because she's muddied his mind about it.
Okay.
He thinks he was putting on a hex on that witch, but she was putting on a hex on Joe so that he would have to follow her.
Gotcha.
Joe thinks he's following Rose.
Yeah.
He's not.
Because she's always next to Rose.
Exactly.
Got it.
And so when she got hurt, her shoulder did get blown out from that magic. And so when they go to the saloon where he takes to the saloon and she meets Moses and Ned, she immediately knew they would be very worthwhile to have, especially with Moses being like a doctor.
Yeah.
And so she made sure that they joined as well. So she has like this subtle mind control power.
Okay.
Where she just kind of not incentivizes, but she like wills people to engage with her, and they don't realize it's happening. When she met Rose did not need to be compelled like the others at any point. Rose made her own decision to join. And
she saw a little girl and wanted to protect her.
Yeah, and Rabbit was very pleased that Rose just decided to join, right? So in this thought we're having where Rabbit's going through all this past experience, she's taking us on this journey that we just all went through, right? So she's like, and then I met this person and we this, and she's like, and then that crazy forest. She says when we were walking towards those trees, she heard the strangest music coming from it. And she knew that music that was playing in that forest was incredibly dangerous. So she used her energy to muffle the sound that comes out of that forest so that the group wouldn't be swayed to follow what the music tells you to do. The music of the trees.
Yeah, it's like siren song.
Exactly. And so she muffled it. However, she couldn't muffle it for the animals, which is why the donkey died.
Oh.
Because the donkey couldn't get past what was happening with the music.
Gotcha. How did a donkey kill itself?
I don't know. No, it just died. I
know.
Sadness. It kind of like a Treyu's horse.
It makes you so sad.
A Treyu's horse. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wait, was the horse named Atreyu? Or was
No, Atreyu was the guy.
Was the guy
in Neverending Story.
Oh, what was the horse's name?
The horse was named Horse, I think.
No, it wasn't. It had a name.
It did have a name? Do you want me to look it up?
No.
Does that make you sad?
The creature calling itself Rigby was ahead of them, and she knew that. If he caught her, she knew he would eat her flesh and bones and burn her so he could steal her magic.
Okay.
So she knows that he is dangerous. She fled the night that they were in that really bad ranch house. She knew she sensed that was him, the guy at the bottom of the tree, which is why she ran out the window and went and hid, because she was like, I don't trust this guy. And she knew he tried to break in to attack Rose, but it was actually to try to get to Rabbit, right?
Gotcha.
So there's 6 of them traveling, right? But magically 7 is a better number. 7's a magic number.
That's why Joe's part of the crew.
So that's why she influenced Benny to hide in the carriage. She saw Benny hiding at the ranch house, running from the marshals, and she said, you should hide in this carriage, right? So she's influencing Benito as well, because she wants 7 people. Yeah. The idea of 7 is really magical, and so she knows she's walking with against this guy Rigby, but she knows she's going towards something magical. She doesn't know who Sadie is, but she knows there's magic and a witch, so she wants to have 7. Yeah. Right? Good number.
Well, 7's the number of God.
Yeah, exactly.
That's in like the Bible and all that stuff. Numerology.
So when they lost old Tom, she wasn't too sad.
Because he's kind of worthless.
She also didn't like him. He was like racist and a jerk and mean. So she's like, it's okay. Old Tom's dead. But when she saw the ancient Huntsman that night, we didn't see this, but she snuck off back into the woods to find him again. And she sits down next to him and she says, hello, grandfather. Will you take me the rest of the way?
Okay. So she can talk.
So she can talk to the people she wants to talk to.
Gotcha.
So we find out that the Huntsman is related to her in this way. And that's why he goes and sits down and is like, give me a cup of coffee that morning. Because that night she had that conversation with him. So the crew buries Benito and the sheriff's deputy.
And Ned.
And Moses asks them to hold Ned because he actually wants to take Ned back to his home village. Because remember, his home village is like one town past where they were heading with Sadie. Gotcha. And he wants to give him a proper burial with his family. Yeah. Right? So while the crew is doing this, Rabbit's sitting here having these thoughts. The Riddle post office. Now, Riddle is the town where Sadie lives. Okay, this is where everybody's been heading the whole time. We're going to Riddle.
Yeah.
The Riddle post office receives a note to the general store because it gets a telegram, right? And it goes to the general store owner. And it says, private car to arrive late morning, 1 passenger. Right? And it's just like a suspicious little note we get from the mail people, from the telegram people. So Moses is heading into Riddle, and there's a huge storm. The skies are basically black. There's tornadoes, rain. It's like the worst weather that's ever been seen in this little town, and it's nowhere else but this town, right? It looks crazy from the outside. When Rose wakes up, she wakes up in a bed, not in the cornfield. And she immediately wakes up and she's like, where's Rabbit? Where's Rabbit? And there's a woman sitting across from her, and she says, are you hungry? And she's like, where's Rabbit? And who are you? And she's like, who's Rabbit? And she's like, she's the little girl traveling with me. And the woman introduces herself, and she says, hi, I'm Sadie Grace. Sadie lets her know that she's been watching her and the crew the whole time. And she's not like super polite about it. She's kind of like, why are you guys trying to kill me? And Rose is like, hey, we were not trying to kill you. I just literally had nowhere else to go. Tom was the only one after you, and he's dead. So
yeah,
no worries. And Sadie gives, they have like a pretty good conversation, and Sadie gives Rose a hot tea and tells her to drink it that she makes her. And Rose is suspicious because, again, she's an evil witch, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And Sadie's like, listen, you need to drink this tea or you're going to die.
Honestly, I feel like Sadie is at this point is just a barista. Like everyone's just like doesn't understand how baristas work because she seems to keep giving people drinks.
Yeah.
And she's just like, here, this will make you feel better. Yeah. Here, take this. This will pick you up a little bit.
Yeah.
You have a sore throat? Have some honey. You're like, what the fuck? Like this isn't like magic. Obviously making a horse stomp somebody to death. Yeah. Magic. She's done some magic.
There's a lot of magic. I didn't really go into all the murders. She killed people in some really cool ways.
Listen, but I'm saying though, is like most of like her being cool is just like, have you had tea? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's.
Should I put a pot of coffee on?
Yeah.
So she explains that she can smell off Rose's skin that she's dying. She says, I can smell the arsenic in your blood. You're dying of arsenic poisoning.
Because she was taking that to make sure.
She took so much arsenic over her life that it never leaves your system. And so her body is dying from all of the arsenic poisoning long term.
Because she slowly poisoned herself to make sure she never had a baby with Joe.
Exactly. And so Rose is like, listen, you smell of the rot.
Yeah, see, that's what happens. That's why J.D. Vance is right. You should live a traditional marriage.
Shut up. So she gives her this thing, and this tea, and she's like, listen, drink this. It's going to purge the arsenic from your system, and you'll be okay. It's going to just be a rough night's sleep, okay?
Yeah.
So
you're going to have one big arsenic poop.
So Moses is also heading to Riddle.
What's the thing they do when the influencers are like, you have to drink the tea or whatever? You know what
the flat tummy tea?
No, not those. When they tell you like you have to get rid of all the toxins.
Yeah, get rid of the toxins.
What do they call that though? It's basically just an enema.
Yeah, it's detox tea.
Yeah, you have to take a detox tummy tea. She gives her a detox tummy tea that she found on Instagram.
Yeah, and then she's gonna poop. So
yeah, poop forever.
Moses is also heading to Riddle to see if he can find Rose. Also because he's like, I'm gonna see if I can find Rose, but also I have to go through Riddle to go home anyway.
Yeah.
He gets there and Riddle's crazy. Like I said, tornadoes, storms, some of it's on fire. Like it's crazy looking, and he's just like, Moses is like, the fuck am I walking?
And a bunch of people have been murdered recently.
People have been murdered. The town is just not having a great time.
Yeah. And it used to be a pretty great town.
It used to be pretty cool.
So that one dude got drunk.
Rigby, by the way, remember, because Rigby's still there, he set fire to the ranch. Okay. Remember, because he got the guys.
No.
He set fire to the ranch, and that spread across the prairie. And so, like, also Sadie is so angry and in so much fear of what's happening that she's actually propelling the storm. So Rigby's causing fires to spread.
Gotcha.
Sadie's causing tornadoes. Like, it's insanity right now.
So what you're saying is Rigby, like Donald Trump, is causing chaos, but Kamala keeps sending us texts that scare us just as much.
Okay.
Like she's like, that guy's really fucking evil. And you're like, can I just have like a day?
Like,
can I have
could
a
you
day?
Stop calling me about this.
Hey, listen, Kamala, I love you. Hi, Madam Vice President, we love you. But can we just get like a weekend? Can we have like maybe one? Listen, I know, first Tuesday in November, gonna be crazy. Could we just have like a fucking one fucking weekend?
Oh my God!
Where you don't ask me for $5?
I'll give you the $5. Just leave me alone.
No, that's the thing.
No, then there's gonna be more $5.
I know, that's all they are.
So listen,
when you give a mouse a cookie.
I love that book. So while Moses is riding his horse through the middle of town down the main western town dirt road
with his dead friend on the back.
No, Ned stayed. I feel like I didn't explain this well enough. The sheriff people at that last town, the doctors and them are holding Ned's body.
Gotcha.
Moses is going to go get people from his town to come down with a cart so they can give him a proper burial.
Got it. Okay. Understood now. Understood.
Okay, so Moses is just riding on his horse.
Yeah.
While this is happening, a train arrives in town, which is like a big deal.
Orphan
big
train.
No orphan train.
Damn it.
And a woman gets off the train and she walks over to the general store. And she gets, because the general store is actually part of the train station, which is also where the telegrams come in.
This is Rose's mom?
And she says, I'm here to call on Rose Mullins.
Yep.
And they say, well, no, there's the Rose Nettles. She's up at Sadie's house, we believe. And so, scene cut.
Yeah, because that's her mom.
That's her mom.
There we go, finally.
So, as Moses is riding through, he gets out of town and he's heading towards Sadie's house. And there's like, again, big prairie like we've discussed before you get to Sadie's house. And as he's walking down this road, tree-lined road, he's out of town, he sees the Huntsman, right? But the Huntsman is floating above the ground and holding his throat. Rabbit is up in a high tree next to him, and a man in a purple jacket is facing them, waving wildly and laughing, right?
Oh, okay, because it's Rigby.
And he doesn't recognize the man, but he recognizes the laugh immediately. And he knows exactly what's happening to that guy because it happened to him.
Yeah.
So Sadie has gone out into her field and gets the feel of the vibes in the air. And, okay, wait, I'm sorry. I made a stop. So Moses is witnessing that, right? And he's having that moment of like, holy shit, that's that guy, but it's a different guy.
Yeah, it's the demon.
At the same time, Sadie is going out into her field to catch the vibes because again she's like she can sense what's going on. She has a third eye. She can see what's going on.
Yeah.
While she's outside though, she sees little Willie. Remember little Willie playing with his puppy?
Okay, that was the 7-year-old.
The 7-year-old
with the penny.
Exactly.
Okay.
So she looks at him. And she's like, Willie, go home immediately. It is not safe for you out here.
Yeah.
And no stops. Just go home. Right? Like get out of here, kid.
Yeah.
And then we're back at Moses, and the purple jacket guy is holding Huntsman up in the air, and all of a sudden in the scene we see the devil jacket guy's skull rip apart from behind because Moses has shot him in the back of the head.
Oh.
Right, so he just blows his head off from behind. He doesn't see him coming. So Rigby had another guy with him. It was a new familiar. It was one of the ranch hands he just grabbed from the ranch. He's like, you're my new familiar. And that guy goes limp as soon as this Rigby was blown up. And a small toad crawls out of this guy's mouth and is trying to get into the familiar's mouth, right? So like, it's like crawls out of the blown up guy and is trying to go to the familiar. And the Huntsman, who's just fallen to the ground without a second thought, grabs the familiar guy and takes his blade out and slits the dude his throat.
Yeah.
And then slits him up the tummy and pulls the live toad out of his stomach sack and crushes it under his boot.
Got it. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Okay. This might have to be an Amazon. This feels like The Boys would do this, like the guys who produced The Boys. Like once you start cutting dudes open and ripping black
once you have to
toads
hold
out
his
of,
stomach out.
Yeah, like there's some of these scenes. I know you've dialed back on some of them. They
there's
get
they're pretty
gory.
A lot of gory in this one.
Yeah.
So the spirit of the demon flies out of the toad at this point and back into Charlie's disfigured body, and he pulls the flesh together like. And he looks like the bug guy from Men in Black. That's what I wrote.
Yeah. Because the skin's all lumpy and weird.
The skin's all loose and the skull is weird.
Yeah.
And the Huntsman and Moses watch this happen, like this reanimation happen, and they book it the fuck out of there. They're like, bet, we gotta go.
Yeah.
Now, Willie is on his way home, and he comes across a dead cowboy with his head cut off. It's one of Rigby's victims, and he has a big bag of money. And I didn't write it down. I don't recall how it happened, but the Wells Fargo money did get picked up by Charlie from the ranch house.
Okay.
And he kept like carrying it around. But again, Rigby doesn't give a fuck about money.
Yeah.
So like it just got lost in the sauce, right? So this is that bag of Wells Fargo money on this dead body.
That the 7-year-old finds.
The 7-year-old finds. And as he's like, because he's a 7-year-old kid, so he's like poking the head because it's like a decapitated cowboy.
Yeah.
And he's like looking into the, he's a 7-year-old kid. And Rabbit appears out of nowhere. Like he doesn't see her coming. And Rabbit looks at him and she says, go home. It is too dangerous out here. You have to go home. And we see Rabbit leave because she's walking towards Sadie's. And after she leaves, Willie is like, there's severed heads, bags of money, horses and robbers. Or I go home and I have to do my chores and hang out with my brothers. So he decides, nope, adventure.
Oh, Willie.
Yeah.
I don't want anything bad to happen to Willie.
So Charlie, the Rigby meat monster, I'm going to call him the Rigby meat monster, is in the field fighting with a tornado that Sadie is sending over in his direction, right? Because now they're just like openly fighting like X-Men at this point. And Rabbit is in the field watching all of this, and she just stands up and screams, enough, and points at him. And the Rigby meat monster explodes into gristle and a shower of black toads. And as this happens, the tornado dissipates, the clouds go away, the rain stops, the sun comes out. So it's like all the weather stops, but there's just hundreds of toads that come out, right? And Sadie screams to Moses and the Huntsmans, the toads, we have to kill all the toads.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm going to read you this very short paragraph, okay? This is, what's this? This is chapter 12. Killing the demon was the hardest thing Rabbit had ever done. She wanted to lie down in the grass and sleep, but the witch was shouting about toads. She looked and saw a puppy, fat and playful, snapping at tiny black shapes in the grass a few yards from her. The boy she had met on the edge of the field caught up with the little dog and dropped to his knees, scooping the pup into his arms. He poked his finger into her mouth and flicked out a toad. She watched as the wet black toad hopped up the boy's arm, over his chin and into his mouth. In an instant later, the Huntsman was there. He lifted the boy by his hair, dangling him over the wet ground. He pulled a knife from his belt. The boy dropped his puppy. He windmilled his leg and slapped the Huntsman's arm. Rabbit turned her head and saw the witch running across the field. She shouted, but the Huntsman ignored her. He sliced through the air, and the boy went limp. The Huntsman pulled the toad from the boy's mouth and crushed it with his fist. The witch screamed and clapped her hands. The pasture shook. The grass bent down in a wide circle. Oh, I'm going to cry. And the bolt of lightning flew through the sky, striking the Huntsman between the eyes, and Rabbit's vision went white.
They killed a bit? Willie died?
Yeah.
Willie.
I know. He should have just went home.
He should have.
It was so sad.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So Sadie carries little Willie's body back to his mother. And Sadie turns to Rabbit after they're walking back to her house.
Do they kill all the toads?
They do. They kill all the toads.
Okay, because we do need to have that part of it done.
They killed all the toads.
So Rigby's gone.
Yeah, the toads are dead.
Okay.
But at what cost?
At what cost? The cost of Willie was dead basically once the toad got his mouth, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way the demon works.
Yeah.
So he was already dead.
I know.
But it's very upsetting.
Yeah. So Sadie turns to Rabbit, who is following behind her. They weren't really talking. And she says, I never knew I had a daughter.
Called it. Hold on. Everybody calm down. I called that last episode. I threw that shit before I walked into the room. I fucking knew it. I fucking said it. They sprinkled it out there a little earlier, and here we are.
Rabbit asks if she can stay with Sadie, and Sadie's like, no, we can't stay here, but I won't stop you from following me. So Sadie's being real weird. She's like, I don't I don't know you, kid.
Yeah.
But also, if you follow me, I won't stop you from following me.
Did she blow up the Huntsman?
Yes.
Okay.
She hit him with lightning in his
Yeah.
eyes.
So, but I'm saying, so she killed the Huntsman for killing, in her mind, for killing Willie.
Yeah.
Okay.
She just got really upset.
Yeah, I get it.
So
Huntsman had to make a call. It was a rough call. It's that last scene from MASH.
Ugh, don't know.
It's the closing of MASH though. It's that one of the things. Like, listen.
So back at Sadie's house, they get there, and people are just trying to get their bearings. Like, this has been a crazy fucking day for everybody in town.
I feel like it's been a wild week.
It's been a wild week, and people are coming to and from Sadie's house. Just like things are happening, right? Rose just finds out from Moses, because Rose has been at the house dealing with arsenic poisoning.
She's been pooping.
Moses shows up, and he's like, pooping. Moses is like, everybody's dead.
Yeah.
And she's like, what?
Yeah.
Everybody's dead. And later that day, like a couple hours later, the general store guy knocks on Sadie's door and says, I have a Miss Bradshaw here for Rose Mullins. And Rose is like, oh my God, like it's joyful, crying, seeing her mom for all these years, blah, blah. And they all kind of hang out, probably have another cup of tea. And Miss Bradshaw invites Sadie and Rabbit to come back with her to Philadelphia, because she has this big ass empty house in Philadelphia where they can all live, because Rose is definitely coming home with them.
Uh-huh.
And so as they're packing to leave for Philadelphia, Rose asks about Joe, and Sadie tells Rabbit she should release Joe so that he can go back to his body and rest. So Rabbit breaks the bond hex that she put on Joe. Okay. At the train station, everyone in town is gathered to see Sadie and the gals off. Again, it's been a big day. Everybody's in town like, the witch is getting on the train and leaving. Maybe it's for the best. Also, this Lady Bradshaw's super rich, so they've never seen like a private train. You know what I mean? Like
she's that rich. Okay,
yeah,
got it.
A private train car brought her. So it's like the fanciest private train car, a rich woman in town. She's taking the witch.
Yeah.
Like, people are just like in town square, like, what's going on? So everyone's gathered in town. Moses is there, of course, and he's talking to Rose, and he's like, hey, on the way over here, I found the bag of money on a dead cowboy. And Rose is like, I mean, you could give it back to the bank. And Moses is like, or I could give my friend the biggest, bestest funeral anybody's ever got.
Yeah.
And so he's going to keep that money.
Yeah, of course.
Get it, Moses.
Of course. Good for Moses.
And as they're all getting ready to depart, people are like, bye, nice, thank you, we're missing, blah, blah, loading the bags and all that. A bullet whizzes past Sadie's head, almost hits her. And the crowd separates. And it's Andrew King. Andrew.
Yeah, from the very beginning. And he's shooting at Sadie. And within a flash, Moses turns and just shoots him right in the head. And everybody basically just watches his body drop and goes back to what they were doing. They're like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, fuck that guy.
Also, I didn't even put it in here because I totally forgot. Remember when she gave him the liquor to drink?
Yeah.
That liquor was magical and made it so that he could never drink liquor again.
Oh.
And so he has this whole running plot that like isn't really integral to this, but where he keeps trying to drink and he just vomits any liquor up. And so she forces him to live with the knowledge that he's the reason Olivia died.
Yeah.
And that he can't drink it away. He has to sit in that.
What there's that thing. There's in there the like Alabuse or whatever.
Yeah, there's a drug you can take.
Yeah, there's a drug you can take that makes you throw up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just very funny.
She did that.
Yeah, I figured she was going to do something like that to him.
So
like I knew there was going to be.
The poisoning was just him being sober with his thoughts, and that drove him to be like, I have to kill her.
Yeah.
Because he thinks if he kills her, the hex that is on him will go away, so he can start drinking again.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, Moses shoots him. So.
Okay.
Everybody's like, okay, get going, and the train heads out. Bye.
Is that
We're
the
going
end?
to Philadelphia. No, scene.
Okay.
Now, they're on the train. Moses is heading home to go get people to go back and get Ned. However, Joe Mullins is at the train station, but he can feel his body calling him, and he knows he has to travel back to his home to be with his body, because like ghosts are supposed to stay with their body. He's an exception because of this hex bond. So Joe begins to make the journey back. He feels the calling and he's going back. And he's going to walk the exact route that we all just took together. And as he's walking back, he runs into Benito. Yeah. He runs into Ned. He sees the sheriff. He sees all these people. He does see old Tom. He says hi, but he doesn't stay. Like some of these people, he like, oh, hi, nice to see you. Like, but like with old Tom, he's like, I don't like you. Yeah. He's just like, nobody likes old Tom. He's like, nah, it's fine. He sees the ranch hands fighting the sheriff. He keeps walking. He gets to Quiveria Falls. And he sees that woman on the train tracks again. Mm-hmm. And he goes up and he talks to her and he says, would you want to join me? And she's like, I can't, like body's here. And we find out that Rabbit, as a parting gift, when she broke the hex bond, she gave him kind of like a hex bond breaker. Okay. That he can have with him. And so it's like a little pouch of stuff. And he's like, no, but like, do you want to join me? We can go back to my farm and you don't have to stay on this train track. I can break the bond. I have the magic. Yeah. And she's like, okay, but like we have to take the kids. And there's 4 of them because after the burning and all that stuff, most of the kids left. They crossed over. So there's 4
because their skulls were finally released.
Exactly.
And all that other stuff.
The fire and all that.
Yeah.
So there's 4 kids left and her. And so he breaks all the bonds and they begin walking back together. Aww. And they pass through the ranch house. They see Isaiah. Isaiah was the guy that they buried, that Moses put on the back of the donkey.
Yeah.
He talks to Isaiah for a bit.
He found in the forest.
And so they pass through the woods, and as they're getting to the woods, he's like, guys, this pre-prepared, this is gonna be weird, okay? Yeah. It's gonna be a lot because there's so many people in there. Yeah. And he sees that little girl Hannah, and Hannah's talking to the other little kids, and he's like, Hannah, do you want to come with us? Yeah. And so he breaks her bond, and he brings Hannah with them, and they all go back to his little house. And they're living in his little house, and a family moves in because, again, it's a vacant house in the real world. Yeah. It's an Osage Indian family that moves in, and they're like a young couple, and they're just starting off together, and like they're watching them live their human life while they're living this like ghost family life. And actually, it's sad because I guess the couple, they lost a baby, but the baby's spirit is still there because they're watching the baby's spirit. And that's the end of the story.
Oh, but at least he finally got his family.
He got his family with lots of little kids.
The orphan train finally arrived.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk about our conclusions from the book and kind of what we thought about it. And we'll be right back after this.
Pearlmania, 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 Pearlmania,
500.net.
So we are here. We've reached the end of the book. It's our longest book club I think we've ever done.
Yeah.
Just about 2.5 hours, 3 hours almost.
Yeah, sure. Content, baby.
It's a lot.
Hope you have a long trip to go on.
It's very long.
This is your whole work day. You're welcome. I hope you didn't do anything at work. I hope we cost your employer money.
I hope we did too. And I'm glad that we released these so close together, just so that way everybody could get to the end of the story. But it was a really good story. It really was. It's an amazing book. I'm glad you said one of our listeners.
Yeah, one of the listeners recommended it.
It's great to that listener. Great recommendation.
Yeah.
Really good job.
Hear me out. Usually you lambast these books. Sometimes you're really kind of like, this book, but this seems like you kind of liked it.
I really want to see this actually made into. I think more people should hear the story. I think this is one of those ones where you also clearly, and you said repeatedly, you left a lot of stuff out.
I did.
Even though this is so thick.
Time, yeah.
But not just because of time, but also like it is so thick.
Yeah.
That there are things that. That need to be heard. Yeah. I think when we did like Dead Moon and we were talking about that one, like you left out a lot of action.
Yeah.
But this time, like you did leave out action, but you were like, and then there's this huge scene. You know what I mean? Like, but this was just like a really, really, I really like the story. Obviously, Willie's death was
so sad. I was like crying when I read it in our bed. It was like probably midnight, and I was up late reading, and I was like crying. I was like, I can't believe Willie died.
Yeah, you were. I remember now you being like really. Because it was such a sweet scene when he got the puppy.
I know.
That's the thing. Like this guy, Alex Grecian, like really like made you care for an imaginary child.
Yes.
I pictured it as a blonde child wearing overalls.
Yes, exactly.
And with a
little golden retriever or something.
Like it's definitely like what AI. If you typed in like tragic child to see die in a movie into AI, it would have printed exactly my picture of Willie. And I'm
like Orphan Train, whatever.
Yeah.
Willie? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no,
I was sad with the Orphan Train.
No, the Orphan Train was also
so
like
sad.
so tragic.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely like a difference between when you talk about like little kid deaths in a story like this now as parents of a child, like versus then, like before you're like, okay, now that's a character. And now you're like, well, that's 7 years old. You know,
he didn't even squish the grasshopper.
Yeah. He was being so nice. But I think there was so many different, there were so many just really cool scenes and like really like great images that I could picture on this journey. I also really just like that it's a journey.
Yeah.
I really like that it's a journey like the Odyssey or something like that, where there's these different things. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou is another great example of that, of like they're clearly heading to a place, but that actual journey itself is a mulligan.
Yeah.
And when the whole rabbit reveal, I could picture that. There's so many times when you're watching a series where you finally get to know, like, we have to catch up on Agatha all along, but like I know just because weird little spoilers pop up every now and then that like we're going to have an episode where it's like, and here's the whole thing from another perspective.
Exactly.
I really liked that. I think it was a really, really good mix on this story of like an action Western, which I love, mixed with witches, which you love, and ooky spooky scaries, and some demon stuff, and a bunch of other things. Like it's just like such a good mix.
Yeah. I want to go out on a ledge here, and I think this is the best book I read this year for book club.
Oh, I'll agree with you on that.
For book club, I think this is the best book club this year.
I'll say that this is the best book you've read. Now, is this our best book club episode? I'm gonna disagree.
What's our best book club episode?
I just feel like there's more because there's so much to cover in this.
Yeah.
That there isn't a lot to react to because I'm just listening to a really good story.
Yeah.
And so sometimes in the book club episodes when you're really telling me garbage and you know it's garbage, I know it's garbage, and the listeners know it's garbage, all of those things, I feel like this is just one of those ones. This felt like, you know, when you're watching a movie and you really want to show it to your friend because you want your friend to also enjoy the same points.
Yeah.
So you're looking at their face and you're like, I wish, like, and you see them look down at your phone. You're like, you got to look here. And then they build an expectation with themselves too. You know what I mean? Like, well, I got to look up because this is clearly the good scene. Yeah. And then now at least you like in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, well, I guess this is where the twist happens. You know what I mean? Like you start to build an expectation.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that because of, even before we started, you're like, give this book a chance. You even said that. Before we started, you said, don't be a dick early.
I said, just give it a chance. Okay?
Yeah.
I didn't say that for Dead Moon.
No, you didn't.
I knew what Dead Moon was.
Yeah, you knew what Dead Moon was. I'm trying to think of some others. What was a book that I really hated, though?
I don't
pretty
know.
Recently. I'm sure the listeners remember it more than us. Our brains are rotted.
We're done. I just try to remember these books.
No, but this is really, really good. This is a really, really, really good book.
I'm glad you liked it. I really liked it.
I think
I was super excited when I finished it that I got to recommend it to our listeners.
It checked off all of my boxes.
Yeah.
I will say that. It checked off all of my boxes. I like that the witch wasn't evil. I like that you keep kicking the camera. All these different things have happened repeatedly throughout the entire episode. I like that this episode started with me having a panic attack.
Mm-hmm. I don't think we told people that. But
no. It's just there's a lot that's happened here, and I'm glad that it went as long as it did because it was worth it. I think the story was worth it.
That's what I thought. I knew it was gonna be long, but I felt like this was a book worth it.
Yeah, no, it is. It really is, and I think you did a really great job retelling the story. And to Alex Grecian out there, you did a really great job writing this book, and it says here you're a New York Times bestselling author, which means I think you have other books probably out there.
I think he does.
Which means I would highly recommend. Let's see, he has bestseller of The Yard, Black Country, The Devil's Workshop, Harvest Man, Lost and God. I honestly, what this made me want to do, this made me want to read one of your other books.
Yeah.
So I do. I am excited to at some point. When I read books again, I will read one of your books.
That's it.
Alex Grecian.
I think that's the 5-star right there.
That's the 5-star.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to Book Club.
Thank you. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone out there in general for supporting your local libraries.
Absolutely.
For being a good person. And just honestly, thank you all for everything.
I really do hope that you were able to like listen to this really long 2-part episode.
Yeah.
And zone out and enjoy a really cool story. And maybe not think about some stressful stuff for a little bit.
Yeah, I hope it take your mind off of the fact that...
don't even finish the sentence.
Okay.
Just let them have a good time.
To our OG listeners, the ones who've been with us from the beginning, the ones who crave the long episodes, you're welcome.
Have a great week, y'all.
Yeah, you guys have a good one. Oh, do we have any final... What should our thing be?
Oh, my God. Listen, I've said so many things.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say, get in the comments and say, squish that black toad.
Too many frauds and too many scammers that we wish weren't real. Too many cons and too many spammers, and we're starting to feel like we've got too many tabs open. It's too many tabs. Remember to smile.